One of the things that I love to distinguish is when we're reading books like this, The First Christmas, it is often the work that's going on behind the text. It's telling us the history behind the text. And then when we're comparing it to other religious traditions or other historical accounts, that's work beside the text. But today I want to talk to you about work in the text, just working through the text, because there are clues in the Bible that we miss because we've been taught to read it a different way. I'll give you a for instance. When it comes to these nativity scenes, the Koresh that people love, there's an interesting background story that illustrates how we miss details that are right there in black and white inside the text. So, when I was a freshman in Bible college, I'd gotten a call to ministry and I went to Bible college. I learned all sorts of things that I did not learn growing up in Sunday school. For instance, the wisemen, the Magi, they didn't show up at the stable in Bethlehem. They didn't show up for a couple years. And we know this because when they finally arrive and they check in with Herod, the authorities, the question is asked like, well, how old, right? And we know that it was a couple years because the order, which, by the way, historically, there is no record that children were massacred because of this event. And I think we would know if it was. But in the story, we are told that it was children under a certain age. So it wasn't just newborns, right? It was all males under a certain age. And it's that clue that lets us know that if they had arrived just days after his birth, then they would have said, oh, this order is for all newborns. But actually, the star appears, and then they start migrating from, like, we think modern-day Iraq, probably. And it took them a while to get there. They had to come up with a plan. They had to travel. They had to, locate, all that stuff. And so what I did with this information is that when it came to Christmas break and I was home from college, my mom had a nativity scene like this, and I took the three Magi, the three kings, and I moved them to the other side of the house. So I positioned them upstairs on the far side of the house. When my mom saw that I had tinkered with the nativity scene, she was none too pleased, and she said, "Where are the wise men?" Because she loved the Magi. And she said, "Where are the wise men?" And so I explained to her, they're years away, Mom. They wouldn't have been at the manger scene. They're years away. It's going to take them quite a while to get here. And she said, "All right, smarty pants, go get my Magi and bring them back. I want them by the manger." And so I did. But then every morning, because I got up early, before anybody else is up, I would take the Magi figurines and I would move them far away to the other side of the house. And this is a tradition that I have continued to do at churches that I've been at, or if I'm visiting my in-laws. I just think it's a funny thing to do, but also it's illustrative. It illustrates the fact that there is a fact, a detail in the text that most people miss, because when you set up the manger scene, everything is grouped together. And so we just read over the detail that the Magi wouldn't have arrived for years. Yeah, something to think about. Because we do a lot of work behind the text in books like we're reading. We do work beside the text when we are comparing to history or other religious texts. But sometimes it's the work in the text itself that is so interesting. Let me know your thoughts.